So today the name of the game is chasing kingfish, but it's with a bit of a difference. We're going to be fishing more of an inland bay situation, and kings love to get up into estuary systems and big estuaries like Spencer Gulf, Western Port, Port Phillip Bay, also up the east coast of Australia. The kings love those areas. Now for this, it's more open water, not quite as much structure, so you don't need ridiculously heavy tackle to chase these fish, and the water's shallow. So a couple of rods I like to look at. I generally like something that's a little bit longer. Anything in that sort of 6'6" to 7 foot is absolutely perfect. In that 20 to 50 pound range is just what you're after. If you're going to go with a shorter rod, or even if it's a bit longer, the thing I like for live baiting is something with a bit of tip to it for the live baiting. It allows that when the fish eats the bait and you put the drag up, or the drag's set, that the tip folds over, pulls the hook into position, and you've got him on. Something like this little Penn Ocean Assassin is absolutely perfect. It's a shorter rod, you can jig with it later on if you want, but as I said, it's got that soft tip, heaps of poke in the bottom end. In the Therese range, there's stacks of rods to choose from in the Shimano series, so these guys are perfect. That's the 6'9". This one is the 20 to 50 pound. Very versatile stick for a whole lot of species. Absolutely ideal for this. Now you can get these in spin or overhead, and while most people do run spin, I like my overhead tackle, and you'll see why when we get the other videos done catching the kingfish. So this is the sort of gear that you want to look for, but again, that little bit of softer tip to it allows that better hookup rate. So heaps of rods to choose from. There's some beautiful rods in the Penn, Shimano, Daiwa range, all that sort of stuff. So speak to the guys in store and you'll get the right advice on the rod that you need. Now come with me, because I'll show you a couple of the reels that you should look at as well. So when it comes to choosing the fishing reel for chasing these kings, there is a big range to look at. First thing you want to look at is obviously price point, what you can afford, but always buy the best gear you can, because it lasts longer and it does the job better. Heaps of brands to choose in the Penn. You've got your slammers, you've got the battles, and you've got your spin fishers, all incredibly tough reels with great drag systems and all at different price points. With the Daiwa, the Saltist is such a nice piece of gear. You've also got the BG spin reel, which is more of an entry price point, but incredibly tough, and you're not going to break it. You may even be able to afford to get a couple of outfits, which is also going to help you catch more fish. In the Shimano, you've got to go for something like a Saragossa or the Saltwater Stratic. The Saragossa is one of the most popular reels in the country, and for good reason. It's bulletproof. The other thing, before we keep moving, overhead reels. I'm a huge fan of them, and you will see me using overheads while chasing these kingfish, and you'll also understand why I like my overheads. But in there's quite a few brands to choose from again, but at a budget price point, the TLD is so good. You've got your Speedmasters, you've got whatever you can afford. You've got your Saltist in Daiwa, you've got Penn reels, there's a stack. But for now, the other thing you're going to need is also some braid. Now, 30 to 50 pounds, what I would recommend. You can go heavier if you want, but let's just remember that we're fishing a little bit more open water here. It's shallow. You get to enjoy the fight a bit more, because you don't need to lock up on the fish quite so much. 30 pound braid is tough as nails. It also helps you to get your bait down deeper, and in like all fishing situations, lighter line does get you more bites. So 30 pounds what I like to use, but you choose 50 or 80, it's totally up to you. The other one is all the terminal bits and pieces that we need, so we'll go and have a look at some of that now. So we need the end of the game, the bit that's going to hook our fish. So heaps of hooks to choose from. If you're after a J style hook or a normal style hook, I like a little heavy duty live bait pattern like that. And one thing I've learned on kingies over the years, keep your hook that little bit smaller. They love to come up and look at the bait and terrorize it. The small hook that's nice and strong hides better, and you'll get more bites. But if you're not using a J and you want to use a circle, hook them in the corner of the jaw, which is absolutely the best way to do it, and then you can let them go as well. I absolutely love the Owner SSW inline circle. This is the 7.0. So this has got a straight shank, straight eye, and that circle hook. Great for that single hook rig where I'm going to bridle rig my bait, or if you want to just nose pin it, it's ideal. The other one I do use a lot, if I'm using a 2-hook rig with a squid or something like that, then is the SSW circle. This one's slightly different. This one's got the offset eye. So if I want to snell 2 hooks together, the top hook sits beautifully in line, and it's just a great way to fish. This guy's got that circle pattern as well. It's also got a slight offset. So this one, okay, this is inline circle, so there is no offset from the shank to the tip, whereas this guy has that very slight offset. Either way, they work incredibly well. And as I said, you've got your live baiting pattern like that Gamakatsu live bait. The other thing you're going to need is some leader. It's going to depend on the area that you're fishing, but 60 to 80 pound is generally perfect for what you need. I also like to run a long shock leader, so say 60 pound again. And for that, I'll try and find a slightly softer mono, not so much a fluorocarbon, mono that's got a little bit more stretch, because that's the spongy part of our system, and that will also give you abrasion resistance as the fish potentially drags you over a bit of rough bottom. The other thing you're going to need is a good swivel. I definitely prefer a crane or rolling swivel. They're much stronger for their size and they rotate better, so you can keep your swivel size down and you know that you're not going to get the line twist through your line. The final part of the system is we need to catch bait. So a sabiki jig is absolutely perfect. I'm going to show you how to catch fish using a sabiki jig. When it comes to choosing one of them, just get a few different sizes. If you're getting tiny little baits, you're going to need to use a tiny little sabiki. But if you start getting a few slimy mackerel and big yakkers, the bigger hook does hook them a bit better and help you get them into the boat better, which means you catch your bait faster and you can get to the end game, which is chasing the kingfish.